Vlog. Hey, what's up, y'all?
Hey, guys.
Daily Diary Day 1. I'm not going to say negative.
If we try to do
whatever.
that,
we'll lose track.
We're just going to get confused. And Day 1.
Right. So it's now Saturday. We left on Friday. So we left about 1:30 in the afternoon. Friday afternoon, you and I flying out of Denver, direct flight over to Munich.
To Munich, right?
So it's your first international trip in your life.
So we flew Lufthansa, which I feel like was a good choice.
Yeah, I definitely think so. I was very pleased.
Yeah, I was too, and had a very good first experience flying overseas. We all of the airplane that we were on was an enormous plane.
First airplane I've ever been on that had stairs.
Yeah, it had multiple levels. It had 4 engines that Edward could have stood inside. It was an enormous aircraft, and
Airbus 340, 360-600 or something like that.
I think it was 343. But yeah, every seat had a
almost like a mini iPad.
A screen, like a screen in the back of it.
It was pretty impressive.
And one of the features was you could just have the flight up on the screen, and it would, like Google Earth, show you where you were and what trajectory the plane was going, how fast you were going, how high up you were, and all of that stuff. So that was fascinating to watch. And they served us meals. We had dinner, and then we had breakfast. We had a midnight snack of like this cookie thing that was really, really good.
And the food was, for airline food, I would say pretty tasty stuff.
And I have no frame of reference, so I'm not going to even quantify it with, for aircraft, I had no idea. It was good.
Yeah, it was good. So I slept about 20 minutes total. I cannot sleep on planes, no matter what I do.
Yeah.
No matter how much I take by way of drugs. And
it doesn't matter.
Red wine.
He drank 3 glasses of wine and still couldn't sleep.
Nope.
And
you didn't have that problem.
Do I ever?
Right.
Like we were talking about in Slack, I can fall asleep standing up. So
I've seen it happen
during High Frontier, but don't tell anyone that. So yeah, I didn't. I had a little bit of trouble because I'm not used to having to have my, having to sit obviously while sleeping. So that was a little uncomfortable. But once my brain got past that, I was out.
Teach me. Please teach me. So we arrived at Munich. We had about a 4.5-hour layover. We explored the airport.
Yeah, it's a big airport.
It really is. Some really nice stores in there if you could afford them,
Correct.
I guess, if you're into that stuff,
right.
Whatever. We had some, you had your first experience with currywurst.
I did, and it was delicious.
Right.
Had a Vice to go along with that, and the lady gave me options, and I just stopped her. I was like, Vice. And apparently I look German because I was not at all ever spoken to immediately in English, which I assumed I would be. But I plopped down 2 waters at the coffee place, and the lady was like, Wasser? Like, yeah, I got water. She was like, oh.
Oh, you're American.
You're American.
Right. So I ended up taking about 2 different 20-minute naps over the 4.5-hour layover, which was a necessary thing, and glad I did.
Yeah, I wish we would have paid for those nap pods, though.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. So I've never seen anything like that. I'm sure some people are familiar with this, but for 15 euros an hour, you can basically rent a little pod, which is just a little private sleeping area. But the other nice thing about the Munich airport is it's very sleep friendly.
Yeah, there's lots of places to lay down.
Right, whether it's on the chairs that don't have armrests, because so you can do that, or there are all kinds of different little like benches, padded benches.
There's different little sitting areas with just where you can either just lounge back in a chair and watch the planes land and take off, or to couches to lay down on, and different. There's all kinds of things. It's nice. It's really nice.
It was. No, and I saw everything from little kids laying down sleeping to the elderly and everywhere in between.
Yep.
So that was pretty cool. It made me feel a little bit less weird about trying to just pick up some real estate and crash out for a little bit. So after that, we flew to Amsterdam. Now, this is probably going to sound stupid to all our Dutch listeners. I get that, and okay. I know that the Netherlands, for the most part, is below sea level. I get that. So with that, I know there's going to be a lot of water and there's going to be a lot of canals and everything. But flying in,
it was amazing.
Everything is wet. I mean, there's water everywhere.
Well, it didn't help it was raining.
Fair. But I was just shocked. There's not just the canals, but just the amount of flooded areas and the farmlands and stuff. I really didn't expect that.
No, and honestly, I would say, like, if you haven't had the fortunate opportunity to fly into Amsterdam, to like look at a Google Earth map or something of it, because it's crazy seeing all those canals and everything.
Yeah. So Joris from Splatter, obviously, Joris Weersinger, he and his wife Nora are our hosts. They're letting us crash at their house.
Correct.
So they picked us up at the airport. Pretty funny that it occurred to me, but I didn't really voice this at any point, that do they have a European car? Because European cars tend to be smaller.
And yeah.
We had 4 big pieces of luggage, 2 backpacks, and a carry-on.
And 4 people.
Right, and 4 folks. And we played Human Tetris to get us in, but we made it.
We did. So you and I were squished in the back together with 2 suitcases.
But you know what?
We made it.
We made it. And we saw windmills. That was cool.
Not only like new cool turbine,
wind farm, right?
Wind farm looking ones, but old windmills.
Windmills, like that you think of when you think of the Netherlands.
Like you see paintings of.
Right.
Yeah.
So we get to their house. It's a...
a 4-story. It's huge.
Yeah, it's a 4-story, we would call like row houses or something like that, overlooking one of the canals in the city center, built in the mid-18th century. So this house, where we're in right now, is older than our country.
Correct. Which Joris and Nora both were very excited to tell us multiple times.
Right, and it's a gorgeous house.
It is. It's
they're
crazy.
They're renovating one of the floors, so they're like, don't mind the mess, this and that, whatever.
Like there's air conditioners in the foyer and there's boxes everywhere, but we don't care.
But the funny thing is the foyer. So when we walked in, I thought the foyer was like a common area for like an apartment or a condo type. No, that's their house.
That's their house.
That's crazy to me.
Which the house used to be split up into like 3 or 4 different units. So Nora was telling us that. So perhaps that did used to be the common area.
Yeah, it might have been. Good point. So after a little bit of rest and everything, and the rain subsided, Joris was like, "Hey, you want to go for a quick little walk around town? I'll show you around some stuff." We were like, "Yeah, come on, let's do this." 2
hours later, we got back from our little walk, and Joris is like a walking encyclopedia when it comes to Leiden.
Yeah. So, I guess we didn't mention that. So we're actually in the city of Leiden, not in Amsterdam, which is, I don't know, 30, 40 minutes kind of southwest of Amsterdam.
Yeah, but it did not feel like that long of a drive from the airports. I don't know if maybe I was, so excited that it didn't seem like very long, but it felt like maybe 20 minutes to me.
But going all over the city center here in Leiden with Joris, who studied history and all that. And
wrote a book on the logistics of old-timey travel in Leiden, and it's just crazy.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome to have him as basically a walking tour guide.
That's exactly what he was, and it was wonderful.
Yeah. We saw this pizza joint that's pretty close to his house that he said this is where a lot of the Splatter playtesting ideas come from, or where they post playtesting.
Yes.
And where they come up with like different names for things in this pizza joint. So we're going to have to stop by there and take some pictures.
He said all the funny names of places for food chain magnate were come up with in that pizza place. So.
Right. So that was pretty cool. We saw the original castle or the fortification that was built in 1150.
It was crazy.
1150.
Yeah.
I mean, I realize all y'all listen to this that are here in Europe and from Europe, you're like, yeah, so, yeah, our country isn't that old, so
Correct. Like
that's
that gigantic tree in the middle was probably planted longer, has been, alive longer than our country as well.
right. Just, yeah, pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Just saw a lot of the churches, the canals.
The university buildings, that one of them which Einstein worked in, which that was insane to think that I was walking on the same streets that Albert Einstein walked on.
So, yeah, pretty cool. So we got back, we had dinner, and as we said, one of their floors here, I make it sound palatial. It's very skinny.
It's skinny,
and
yeah.
very tall,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But we're actually, the guest room temporarily is Joris's game room.
Yes.
So here we are on this bed
Mm-hmm.
and looking around at just like there's a copy of Kingdom, there's a copy of Keytown, and then just the Splotter library. I'm like, now you're just showing off. Like, there's 3 Roads and Boats down here. There's an original Roads and Boats up there. There's 2 original antiquities there. I mean, there's Web,
Like
there's Keek, there's Droth,
Their
there's...
playtest versions of games are up here on the shelf, and it's
and don't worry, we're going to take pictures of all this. Oh, and on that note, we did get a chance to check out the new antiquity. Mm-hmm. It weighs about as much as Amanda.
It weighs about 400,000 pounds. It is
Seriously.
the heaviest game box I've ever felt.
Yeah, it's
even heavier than like Horus Heresy or anything like that. It is just heavy.
It's about the size of what the Kickstarter version of Ground Floor. That size box.
Yeah,
Like, it's
yeah.
kind of like Agricola size.
Yeah, but just
way
thick.
thicker.
Yeah, because of all that chipboard.
Yeah, thicker than Terra Mystica, Fields of Arl, Caverna.
Like the advanced Civ that we had made from...
Yeah, but nobody's going to have the context
Well,
for that.
that's true.
But yeah, so think of it as like a Caverna, but thicker, and weighs... it's completely solid at punch boards. It's the whole thing. So one thing he mentioned to us, so when I opened the box, first thing I noticed was the meeples were smaller than I expected.
Right.
In a good way. Like, I thought the pictures that I'd seen that these were going to be really big.
But I think once you have one in your hand, and I think we're going to maybe take some pictures of them, like with have something next to it for size reference, so that you can get an idea of what it actually is sized like.
Yeah. And also the punch boards, he said they got a new die for the punch boards so that they punch out easier as opposed to the older versions that would sometimes not cut all the way through and it might tear some of the chits or whatever. The artwork is very similar to what it was previously, but the resources themselves are...
much clearer.
Yeah, they are. But they still have the same artwork. They're just clearer.
Just clearer. Yeah. You can tell what's a pearl and what's a fish.
Yeah. And the player aids are thicker. They're cardstock instead of just paper.
Right.
But
they're obviously a little bit more condensed because they have to be smaller because the box is smaller. So...
Well, and by smaller, it's like... It's not Roads and Boats or Antiquities.
It's a normal box size.
Right. And so it all fits in there now.
Yep.
And one thing that Joris had mentioned was that some of the player aids, so the actual where you have your where you build your first city, some of those were the wrong size. And so apparently there are 750 copies that people are going to get, that they're going to get the wrong size player aid along with the new right size player aid. So whatever.
Making it right.
Good deal. So overall, pretty happy with what I saw. It's got the translucent black tiddlywinks for pollution, which I actually think I'm going to enjoy.
Me too.
A lot more than what it was.
It seems like that'll be more easy to move around and stuff rather than all of those chits.
Yeah, just to be able to manipulate them and everything. So I think Antiquity is definitely going to be a game that we're going to bring a couple copies home of that has to get punched before we go, because that must be 20, 30 different punch boards.
It's just forever.
It's a ton. So.
And that'll be, I would not have any problem with punching a game just so it doesn't weigh 4,000 pounds when we try to transport it.
You're going to have dozens to do.
I know.
All right, so that's it. It's now, let's see, it's just after 10 o'clock local time. We've been up just over 30 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I have been outside of my naps, Miss Sleeping Beauty on the plane.
And I have been too outside of my naps.
Well,
how long did I sleep?
You were out a few hours.
Like maybe 2.
Okay.
Well, when I looked at the thing and it said we were going to land in 4 hours, and then when I woke up, that is 3 hours. Never mind. I can't do the math. I'm tired. That's what I'm going with.
All right. So that's it with day 1, guys, here in Leiden, the Netherlands.
Yeah.
And tomorrow we have the game day with the Dutch heavy cardboard crew.
That's right.
Looking forward to that. And I know Jeroen's coming. And I think one of their main play testers is coming.
That's right.
I know Giovanni, Mira. Marlon, a whole bunch of other folks.
I'm so excited to meet everybody.
It's going to be a lot of fun. So
Giovanni's just going to be sad we didn't sneak Asher in one of our suitcases.
All right, guys. I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
I'm going to sleep.
Let's go to bed.
All right. We'll catch you all later.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.